What about the pricing thing? You say it's a reflection of your
Mhm.
self-worth, but it's like a chicken and egg problem, right?
Right.
When are you ready to raise your prices? And
Mhm.
if you have a potential client in front of you, you're like, is this the time where I say the new price or not?
Yes.
And will they, how do creative, especially when it's about, like, you, in your case, it's
Mhm.
interior design. So
Mhm.
you just have one client in front of you, and either
Mhm.
it's this project, or maybe you don't have food next week or
Right.
next
Yeah.
month. So how have you figured out how to overcome that yourself, and what do you teach your clients to do?
Okay, so a couple of things with pricing, which are really important. So what most people do to price their services or their art or their products is they look around and see what other people are pricing. And then they also judge whether they think that person is better than them, worse than them, more experienced than them, has been in business longer than them. Like, they have this whole internal list that they don't even realize they have, that they're judging themselves against other people. And the fascinating thing with that is they call it, like, the going rate. And I call it the going out of business rate, which is so funny because they have no idea if those people are making any money, if they're barely hanging on. They have no idea if they have the same expenses and overhead and responsibilities that they do. So it's like a shot in the dark. It's like, let me just pick this price because somebody else that I don't even really know their story or their information picked it. So that must be what people are willing to pay. I throw that entire thought process and approach out the window completely. And I help people understand what their financial position is. What is your overhead? What do you need to make? What do you want to make? What could we charge to create that kind of revenue and profit that you want to make? And then how do we make sure that the product or service you're selling is worth that price, right? So they want to dumb down their pricing on the front end based on the going rate. I say you can literally price yourself any way you want to if your service can hold up to that price and you follow through. Now, you can't give, a really high price and really poor service because it's only going to work a couple of times and it's not going to hold up. But as opposed to hoping that the world starts to raise the value of what they believe in for an artist, you have to set your price of what you need or want to make. You absolutely can dream big, and then you can meet that price with your deliverables. So for example, for me, years ago, like in 2004, I started my business in 1999. So, like, only 4 or 5 years in, I was saying, this is not working for me. I think I was charging $150 an hour, which was pretty close to the going rate back then. I was even probably a little ahead if I had judged my experience because I'm pretty new. But I'm like, okay, I'm confident enough to charge $150 an hour. And it was not sustainable. I could not run my business, have employees. There was no way. And it was this constant feast or famine because you have to wait for a high-end design client who wants to spend a lot of money. They're just not calling you every day, right? There's some things you can do, but it's not every day that somebody's like, please let me give you $350,000 for furniture and, like, to do my entire house. And so I started realizing this is not working. I was working with a business consultant and I chose to start charging a flat fee, which I did based on square footage to help me get kind of a number, but it was a really huge leap. So the first flat fee I proposed to someone, I remember exactly because I was terrified, was $29,000 to do their main floor of their house, just the creative, not the furniture, just me, all my ideas, me managing the project. I was terrified. And they said yes and didn't even blink. And I was like, I just left so much money on the table. So then the very next one I went through the same kind of square footage process and estimated about how much time I would spend. And I was thinking, if you charge a flat fee, then it's not hourly. The onus is on me. If I can do it in fewer hours, I can make more money. And so then the client just gets to decide if it's worth the value or not. It's a yes or no, and I have to deliver. So it's on me to make more money, but it's also on me to make sure I'm delivering the money's worth. And the next one was $42,000. They said yes. I'm like, I left money on the table. The next one was $56,000. And then, of course, it wasn't just like the same size house. The houses were getting bigger and the budgets were bigger, but at the same time, I was inching up my fee, which was far different than somebody charging $150 an hour for 2 hours here and 3 hours there. I was literally taking on these big projects for multiple 5 figures. I even had a 6-figure design fee not too long after that. And I started to realize it was value driven, not me putting a price tag on my head like a commodity that can be compared to other people. Because if we create a business that's really valuable, we can't be compared to other people. It's not apples to apples. But as long as we're saying, well, my price is 150 and so is this person's, they're only looking at price. They're not looking at what you deliver, what the experience is. And so I really started to understand that, and I started to teach that to people, which is terrifying to put that kind of value on your head. Like I said, on your work, it's like, because they feel like I've priced me. How could I possibly be worth 6 figures on a job? But once you step into that, even though it's very scary, and start to understand what it is the client really wants and how to meet them with the value they're asking for, it's a whole new ball game. And you can start to really create the life and business you want, because you're looking at yourself as a valuable service that the client really needs, not believing I'm this little piddly artist and the going rate is.